My name's Phil. I served in the U.S. Army for 3.5 years. I served from November of 2004 to this past March. And I joined the military, like I said, November 2004, because I grew up with a single mom, very poor. I dropped out of school, got my GED, and so I was looking for some kind of stability in my life, some kind of structure. I joined for college money and for a paycheck, for health care, all those different economic reasons, you know. That's the reason that I joined the military. So after I joined, I went to my basic training, which was at Fort Benning, Georgia. So it's about 2 hours south of Atlanta, where I'm from and where I live now. And once I got there, you know, you get there and they give you the haircut and all the shots and everything. You spend, you know, a couple of weeks doing your paperwork and stuff, and then you go down to the area on the military base where you're going to be training. So I went down there, and my first day was essentially we get off the bus at our unit. Drill sergeants come out. They make you pack your bag, unpack your bag, pack your bag, unpack your bag. They yell at us all day. They make us do exercises, just whatever they can to essentially make life miserable. And then that night, we got to sleep, got a couple hours, 1 or 2 hours of sleep, and then they come in with these like bullhorns with a siren, and they wake us all up and get us out of bed. And we're in a room probably like twice the size of this. It's got bunk beds all around it where people sleep. And they had us around the room doing exercises. And my drill sergeant, he was walking around and he was saying, I know that either one of two things with you guys. Either one, you didn't graduate high school, you have GEDs, or two, you waited to make the decision to join the military because you're scared, because I don't know any high schools that graduate in November when I went. He was like, and this is the worst class. You guys are the stupidest class. You know, I hate you guys. Just stuff like that. Like, they wanted to break us down. They wanted to break us down mentally. All the individual ideas we had, all of the ideas, like, everything that makes us us, you know, all our little individual attributes that we have, they wanted us to throw them out the window. Because in the military, they want you to follow orders, and everything that they tell you to do, they want you to say Roger that and go do it and not ask questions about it. And so they have to get rid of all that rebellion within you, you know. And so they establish themselves as alpha dog from day one immediately. But one of the other things that we did in basic training was we went out to qualify with our rifles. And when you do that, you have pop-up targets that are in this field that you shoot. And some of the pop-up targets were dressed up like Arabs in like civilian clothing. They weren't military uniforms. They were civilian clothing. So they were training us from the beginning to go and be able to shoot people that weren't in an established military. They were training us to essentially like hate the people of the Middle East. It was very racist. And they actually use a term in the military for the people in Iraq. They call them Haji. And it's a very racist term. It's a way of like dehumanizing them and like that, you know, like we all have names. Like I'm Phil, you know. But if someone had a nickname for every one of us in America, you know what I mean? That's a way of just saying whatever. Like you're not a real person, you know. And it makes it easier to like hate those people. So that's what they would train us. And in Islam, Haji is someone who has been on the Hajj. It's a religious pilgrimage to Mecca, and they hold it in very high esteem in their culture. And you know, we just totally alienated all of the Iraqi people by using that. But that's something that we kind of picked up in basic training too. So after I got out of basic training, I went to my unit. I was stationed in Fort Drum, New York. It's way up by Canada, essentially. It's one of the coldest places in the country. But I was only there for 4 months, and then I was shipped off to Iraq. So I actually went to Iraq even before I had finished a year in the military. So I had gone less than a year before I deployed. And I want to talk for a couple minutes about Iraq. So my first patrol, I went out, and about 6 hours into my first patrol, I was struck by a roadside bomb. And my vehicle was. And what that is they'll put a bomb, and they'll bury it in the side of the road, and when you drive by, they'll hit your truck with it. They'll have it explode on your truck. Luckily, we were pretty much okay physically. We all had concussions, and my gunner actually he had busted eardrums, but no shrapnel or anything like that. But I was actually hit by 6 more on the rest of my tour. Roadside bombs. My truck was, my platoon, which is about a unit of 30 to 35 men, we were hit by over 21 of them, and we were hit by 8 in a week and a half at one point, 3 in one day. So that's some of the things that I experienced in Iraq. Another thing is that we were getting rocketed and mortared from this neighborhood outside of our base when we first got there. And so what we decided to do was send our unit into this neighborhood with a bunch of trucks, and every fighting age male, which is from 13, roughly 12 or 13 to like 65, were questioned and detained, at least for a short period of time. And what that means is that usually we'll handcuff you with these plastic handcuffs, and then we'll blindfold you. And if we decide that we want to actually like keep you and charge you with something, we'll stick you in the back of the truck and we'll send you to the base. And then the base decides if they want to send you to prison or not. And a lot of times this is done with very little evidence, and most of the time people that are detained are usually released. So that means that there's people in Iraq, like regular civilians in Iraq, that have been detained by the U.S. military like 10 times, something like that, like a lot. They get detained over and over again, just for petty things. So that's some of the things we used to do. We'd bust into houses at 2 in the morning. We'd shake people out of bed. Sometimes we'd flip their stuff. Just that we created that climate of like fear and repression within Iraq. A couple other things about the military. Like Emma said, 1 in 3 women are subject to sexual assault or rape, and that's reported. The thing that the recruiters probably don't tell you is that if you're a woman and you're raped in the military and you want to press charges against the person who raped you, especially if it's a fellow soldier, what the Army requires you to do is actually you have to be open that you were raped and this is the person who raped you in order to press charges. So your unit can come down on you for just turning someone in. And it's something that they do, in my opinion, to keep women from reporting, from pressing charges against fellow soldiers. Another thing is that there's a lot of racism in the military too. One story is we had this guy in my unit who had a swastika tattoo. And a swastika, for those of you who don't know, it's like the Nazi sign from Hitler, you guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay, so my unit just made him wear a long sleeve shirt for a while and just whatever. And then they finally decided, well, we need you to cover it up. And so he went to get a new tattoo to cover it up. The tattoo that he got was 2 Confederate flags with nooses hanging down. And that was the tattoo that they allowed him to have. And they said, okay, that's cool, whatever. And so he just wear it around, It's completely racist, but they let him do it. Because that's kind of the climate that's created by this.